All right, guys. Here's, gosh, I got all these stories, man. You know, and a lot of them are very revealing. But I like to talk about it because I think it's probably a good thing for me to be real and also kind of just improve on who I am. Okay, so, there was a period of time that I was bartending in Miami Beach, and okay, and I was actually working at like two establishments. I was working at a bar. I was also working at a Mexican restaurant, and my goodness, I just thought of another story too. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to tell that one after this. But I met actually a girl. Okay, believe it or not, if it was talking to a girl. um, I wonder if I should use her real name. Okay, I will not use her name. Of course, I think that's the right decision, right? Um, and by the way, she was an extremely attractive Italian woman from Italy, and so I just I mean, she was let's just say, unbelievably attractive, right? I mean, that was like the biggest thing about her. I mean, she had a great personality, but I mean, like, I couldn't even believe, just it was just like wow. I mean, I couldn't, unbelievable. Wow, dude. I mean, she was so beautiful. She was, actually a famous like ballet dancer, from there. Okay, and long story short, I was, she actually wasn't interested in dating me. By the way, for some reason, all she wanted was, like a physical relationship. I don't do that stuff anymore. You guys know me. I don't really approve of guys being with women unless they're married like that, right? I think that's a better way. I'm a little older now, okay? But that was kind of like the basis of our relationship, was just kind of physical, whatever. I was interested in dating her, her being my girlfriend, from the beginning, but she just didn't want that, okay? And she's one of the few people that, and I suppose there are a lot of people actually in Miami Beach like that, okay? And I'm not saying I'm judging them. I have my own personal opinions, by the way. But there used to be a saying in Miami Beach that it's really easy to find a one night stand or whatever. Then it's way harder to find a girlfriend, right? They used to say that. Right. And, anyways, as we were dating, or as we were together, we used to spend a lot of time together. I don't know why, whatever. It was stupid. And, we were walking home, okay? Her last boyfriend was a bartender in our town, okay? And I knew who he was, and I knew where he worked, right? And, yeah, dude. So, one night, I was walking with her down the street. I mean, I hope I didn't say her name in this vlog. But, her history with her boyfriend, okay? He had beaten the crap out of her, alright? And, I have more stories about this too, okay? I'm no angel, alright? And you'll see. But, she was in a very abusive relationship, okay? And he, was addicted to meth and coke and alcohol, and was working at these nightclubs, okay? And he would come home and beat her up, and she really didn't tell anybody else about that, okay? I was like one of the only people that knew. And so I really obviously did not like this guy. By the way, this girl, okay, I have my reservations, but I thought she was nice overall, right? I thought she was a nice person. I really did. I thought she was extremely joyful, extremely nice to everybody she ever met. And so when I heard about that, I was just like, my goodness, man, that's so disgusting to me. He did that for a long time. So, we were walking home one night, and I saw, she stops and she goes, oh my gosh, that's his motorcycle right there. Okay. So, I like looked around real quick, and I friggin' just went up to the motorcycle, and I just kicked it, and I just kicked it over, okay, like as hard as I could, and as soon as I did that, okay, a cop car was coming down the street, okay, and me and her just kind of were like, but I was like, oh, I just kind of turned around and kept walking. Okay, the cop, had his lights on and was coming down the street. Look, we just kept walking. The cop didn't even see us do it, I don't think. All right. And, that was, a close call that I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, what the crap, you were trying to, be like, the, whatever. I suppose, in a way, I was actually just, no, actually, no, I don't really feel like I was trying to show off for her or anything. I just really didn't like that guy, and I didn't like that whole thing. And, I knew a lot of details too, about that whole interaction and all that. Oh, gosh, awful. Okay, so, what lesson did I learn, that night, walking home from the bar, okay, we were a little intoxicated, right? We had been drinking, all right? And I didn't think about it twice, So, what lesson did I learn? Okay, first of all right, if he had been there and watched me do that, then he would have beaten my butt, okay? He, for sure, okay, this guy was like, oh my gosh, man, yeah, 6'2", freaking, 240 or something, nuts. So, okay, yeah, long story short, do not ever deface public property or somebody else's, possessions, right? No matter what, okay? Because, if they're a criminal and if they really are wrong, then they will get caught by the law, and you basically are not the law, right? Of course. And there is, look, I don't know. A lot of guys may have actually done what I did. Just naturally. A lot of them would, maybe they're smarter than that, right? But, I'm definitely smarter than that, I've been single 13 years. And one thing to watch out for is getting your emotions wrapped up from a woman over, another guy. That's a situation to be avoided since, in relationships you don't ever want abuse, okay? And so, that involves knowing their relations, okay? Whether it's a male or a female. and to actually separate yourself from any form of abuse, whether it's between any of their relations, their history, anything like that, okay? And, I've had my own property defaced before. I've had my truck keyed when I was at establishments. And, one time, I guess, they didn't like me at a Starbucks, okay? And so, actually, one of the employees of Starbucks, I don't know if that's true. I believe it, but this was a very long time ago, in California when I used to live there. And I don't think they liked me, and they keyed my car. So, and I've been through a lot of, random stuff like that, okay? I really haven't ever tried to, attack vehicles or anything like that specifically. Just that one time, I was very angry, and I did, immediately see that it was his motorcycle. So, like, did I permanently hurt the motorcycle or damage it? Nah, I dropped it, and there was limited cosmetic damage, actually, and so, I did cause, I'm sure, some scratches on it. So, yeah, dude, that's terrible karma, okay? And I admit it, bro. I admit to, the things that I've done. I will blow your minds, guys, in my YouTube channel, telling you the crap that I have done because, I am no angel. I made serious mistakes, okay? And I've gotten caught for them. I've had problems with them and all this crap. So, there's a lot to me, of course, that, I've done historically that, I wish to move past, And, and I'm very honest with myself, I am an artist, okay, so I do like, exploring and finding new ways of looking at things and, experimenting. I was a very curious person, right? I wanted to know everything. So, yeah, I'm past that, I think. But, for me, okay, I definitely have made a lot of mistakes, right? Okay? And that is one of them. So, yeah. I don't get intoxicated the way that I used to anymore either, okay? I don't drink liquor, really. If I had a friend talk me into it, I might. Yeah, and I don't make the same decisions anymore about, women or jealousy, hopefully. Past that, so. And have had a lot of problems with that in the past. We will talk about that more in later vlogs. I'm going to try and remember some of the other stories that have been coming up, guys. But, these are, confessions, true stories. I told you guys I was going to do this. I was going to do it like endless revelations. And you know, I do indeed have a lot, maybe too much to talk about. I mean, right? I don't know if that's a problem for you to have too much to talk about. Right? I don't think it is, right? Some crazy stories, lots of crazy stuff. I mean, you guys ever find something interesting? Go back, search the archive, yo. You know, look at the 600 vids or whatever I've uploaded in the last few months. Right? All right, guys, we'll see you soon.